Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Juliette and I will be your host. Please note that we cannot hear you all as you are muted. If you have any question, please use the chat window during the presentation. The presentation will last about 30 minutes and once complete we will address any questions sent in during the presentation and have an open Q&A session. Okay, let's get started. The theme of this webinar is how to manage healthy private cloud environments. And now with that, let me introduce my colleague, Jean-François Piot, our product manager.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Juliette, for this introduction. So let me share my desktop. And so let's do that. So thank you, everybody, for being here for this webinar that will deal with the supervision of private cloud environments dedicated to messaging and collaborative platforms. So my name is Jean-François Piot, product manager for this company for 4 years now. And after reviewing some fundamental notion of cloud monitoring and reporting, I propose you to deep dive into the management of Exchange and SharePoint environments organized in private cloud, and to have a look at the product, to have a small demo of the product, to see how it is simple with GSX Monitor to get what you need to manage, to monitor and report on your private cloud environment. So first, as an introduction, who are we? GSX has over 600 large customers with huge and complex infrastructure worldwide. Our philosophy has always been to improve our product with our customer, working closely with them on their expectations. So the private cloud for us begins about 5 years ago. Actually, at our annual customer board, 3 of our biggest customers in the bank industry expressed their concern about transforming the data center into a private cloud environment. And for us, it was really the beginning of the move to design a product that would fit our private cloud customers' expectations. So, of course, 5 years ago, it was really the beginning. And so we work closely with them. And now we have really a product that can really help administrator to make proactive monitoring, capacity planning, all the needs of a private cloud environment management. So we are still improving our product with our customer and prospects. We continue to produce release year after year to constantly adapt our features to the environment of our customer. So very fast, as you know, you have several types of cloud, private, hybrid, public. Private cloud emerged from the necessity to organize, optimize, and constantly improve the ROI of the virtual data center. Doing that, the aim was to transform the IT department into an internal service provider. Maybe it has something to, it is a bit linked to the ITIL, for example, the ITIL process. So, of course, public cloud goes a step further, allowing companies to buy or rent resources on demand. And moreover, we have seen, and you have seen, that most of the biggest soft vendors began to realize that their licensing their software as a service was a new way to make sustainable business. So we won't speak today about public or hybrid or public cloud like Amazon, for example, or public cloud really dedicated to Windows Server or virtual machine on demand. What is at stake today is public cloud, but for messaging and collaboration platform. So in our case, it would be Exchange and SharePoint. So, okay, what are the needs of a private cloud environment management? So doing our product with our customer and with Microsoft Expert, TechNet, and nodes on the different private cloud, we realize that the challenge that faces the administrator, of course, it is to deliver the service as it is expected from a private cloud environment. And what is really expected? So, of course, if you are a user, what you want is a continuous availability and an infinite capacity. Infinite capacity, okay, it's a word, but what does it mean? It means that for the administrator, it has to always adjust the demand and the supply in order to give this perception. So from the IT manager, it's not only availability and capacity. When you manage a private cloud environment, you need to focus as well on security, flexibility, scalability, cost optimization. And this cost optimization that is mixed with the need of high availability generally lead to the need of standardization of the tool and the processes. So the real capacity planning that constantly align supply and demand, what I just speak about, it really becomes fundamental to optimize the cost. And actually, a private cloud is a new way to optimize cost and to optimize the ROI of a data center. So the management of a private cloud goes really way beyond the simple monitoring and reporting on the IT service delivery. Of course, you need to work on orchestration, security, possibility to organize self-service of the application, and so on. But to really focus on GSX and where GSX helps you, let's see what a private cloud supervision tool can do for you. So what is the really need? To deliver software as a service, you need to control the service delivered by the software. Okay, it's kind of we know that it's obvious. But if you check on the internet, you will see that 90% of the monitoring and reporting tools do not focus on the service delivered by the application. 90% of the monitoring tool really focus on the server, on the system, and system isn't software. You can have 100% availability on your virtual machine. That really doesn't mean that your application is really running. That doesn't mean that your users are not experiencing performance problems. And actually, who cares about system and server now? Most of the architecture are clustered with oversight server. You have a disaster recovery plan everywhere. And so to experience a real downtime on the system is really unlikely to happen. So from an application perspective, from the user experience and from the performance point of view, it is completely different. If you want to prevent the service from any performance problem, if you want to make capacity planning and to align the IT view and the user view, you need a monitoring and reporting tool that really understands the application. Understand is to understand how the different services that work in the application finally deliver the global service to the end user. If you take SharePoint, for example, your tool will have to be able to use SharePoint as a user and to alert you when the performance is going down. And it will be the same for Exchange. And this is what is called proactive monitoring. So just to finish with the theory and what we discover with our customer, here's a quote from Microsoft. You can find it directly on their TechNet about private cloud. What you can read here means that there is 3 goals. The first, of course, is the availability of the service, for sure. The second one is the standardization of the tool to ensure automatization of administrative tasks. Thing is that if you think of monitoring, if you think of reporting, most of the time, what we found at our customer base was that a lot of that was made with scripting. Scripts, SCOM scripts, report builder to make reporting and things like that. And because it's not standardized, it's very difficult to maintain. And if you want to automate everything and to really not to spend money on maintaining code and scripts to make monitoring and reporting, you need to standardize your monitoring and reporting tool as well. The last point is proactive monitoring to detect bottleneck, needs of resources, and all the thing is to detect error before it impacts the user. So let's have a first view on GSX Monitor. So this first view show you two screenshots of Monitor, and we will go directly in Monitor just after, again, to show you how it is simple. As you can see, you have here the GSX Monitor overview. So it's a private cloud environment that was at the early stage. That's why you have so many red on this screenshot. It was the one from our big customer. So as you can see, the tool gives you in real time, so red, yellow, and so on, the status of the role and the object for Exchange. So you have the CAS with the CAS array here. You have the multiple mailbox server and multiple DAG. You have the hub, the Active Directory, and so on. This view is completely automatic. You have nothing to configure. You just give the credential for the first server, and then in 2 minutes, you have the clear view of your global organization on Exchange, on your private cloud environment, with the status of the service you are currently delivering. So what you need to know about this first introduction is that the product is completely agentless. You don't install any code on the server, and everything is completely standardized and out of the box. No script anymore, and you have only one tool to make monitoring and reporting of the service delivery of Exchange, SharePoint, BlackBerry, and we will see that just after. Again, and to explain the differences between a tool like GSX Monitor that is completely out of the box and really simple to use, and most of the other tools, for example, if you focus on availability only, like 95% of the tool, focusing on availability of the service does not ensure you 100% availability. If you want that from a user and service perspective, if you want a high availability, you need to focus on that as well. So it is exactly what GSX does. It's focusing on high availability and performance to alert you when the high availability is broken. So before there is a real impact on the user, but for you to be able to restore the high availability and to be sure that the service is 100% available. So for that, GSX, for example, considers the DAG, as you can see here, or the cache array, as an entity, not only as a collection of servers, but really as an entity. And we make a special test on this entity to be sure that it delivers the service, a high available service. Okay? So if you just wait to be alerted when a user cannot access the mailbox, for example, anymore, you do not ensure high availability of the platform. If you are alerted when, for example, a healthy copy of the DB is down inside your DAG and you have only one copy now in your DAG, then you focus on high availability, and then you are sure that you will always provide a 100% availability service. Just under this view, you have a screenshot of the environment health view that sits in the reporting tool. Here you can compare server per server, as you can see here, or cluster per cluster, or DB store per DB store, the performance of individual roles in your environment. But it can be roles, it can be, of course, system metrics, it can be usage metrics, it can be a lot of different things. And it will be exactly the same for SharePoint. You will be able to simply compare the service delivered by the front-end server, the usage of your SharePoint environment, regarding SLAs, KPI, regarding all the metrics you need. And all again, without any script, without SCOM, without any code on the server. So because GSX is really acting as a user, it does not impact your server like other monitoring and reporting tool does. So just before going to the demo, and to conclude on the monitoring parts again, what you need to memorize is that the purpose of a supervision tool in a private cloud environment is for you to align the IT view and the user view. Because what matters is the service provided to the end user and the scalability you need to offer to them. So for that, alert have to focus on performance indicator, monitoring has to focus on high availability, and hence to understand how this high availability is working within the Exchange on the SharePoint farm. So just after monitoring comes the reporting part. And GSX Analyzer is working with GSX Monitor to make reporting and capacity planning easy. Again, you don't want to use any scripts in a private cloud environment. You need to standardize your tool as much as possible to automate the delivery of the services. And actually, reporting and capacity planning can be considered as internal services, like any other, and it has to be reliable and easy to use. So GSX Analyzer really allows you to report on KPI SLA, we will see that in a minute, SLAs, availability, performance indicator, and usage metrics without any code or any script on your server. So checking the growth of the SQL infrastructure for SharePoint or the Exchange usage become really easy and completely automatic. Here's the result. So it's a collection of screenshots of Analyzer. And here you can really see that first, it looks nice. And secondly, you will see that it takes really 2 minutes to configure an automatic report, for example, on usage or performance, that will play automatically every day, every week, every month, and that will be sent automatically to the right person. You can see here again that the environment health view. And this view, as I just said, allow you seeing bottleneck, troubleshooting performance problem on your private cloud environment. On the right, you can see report on capacity with automatic forecasting here. That allow you to easily see when to extend your infrastructure, when to buy disk, how your mailbox database are growing, when to take action on it, etc., etc. And again, you need that if you want to give this infinite perception of capacity. So let's go for a demo. So I will really focus the demo on Monitor and Analyzer to show you how it is simple to make tests, to retrieve some performance indicator, to configure all of this monitoring stuff and reporting capabilities. I will not go deep inside the demo. If you want to see all the other features of GSX Monitor, of course, you can send an email or call us if you want a more bigger demo. So here's what we want to do here. I have to postpone. What we really want to do here is to show you how it is simple. So here's the GSX Monitor. So here's a view on Exchange, for example. So as I told you, it's really straightforward. You just add new organization and then just a credential here of the first server, and GSX will automatically discover your private cloud environment for Exchange or SharePoint. And will display all of your server with the role and the object. So here we can see a DAG with the current status of the DAG. So it's a smaller environment. It is our test environment here. The CAS array here with the different CAS server, the hub server, and so on. So regarding the DAG, once again, we monitor the mailbox role server at the server level, but we monitor as well the DAG at the DAG level. That is to say, for example, we will check the replication, of course, and all the mailbox role, but we will focus as well on mailbox database in order to be sure that you have at least one S3 copy of each mounted database in your DAG. And then you are sure that you provide 100% high availability on your platform. And if you have a problem with one mailbox database, you can work on that before it impacts your user. And this is what is proactive monitoring, and this is what is fundamental in a private cloud environment. When we check the CAS array, it's kind of the same. We will check the different protocols. I will show you that just after. Synchronization with ActiveSync, for example, or OWA, or we will check the auto-discover or Exchange, all with one click, and we will check that at the CAS level and at the CAS array level, for you to have an insight of the service you provide to your user, of the load balancing, and things like that. So if we go in the main view, for example, and I take any server, if I just want to show you how to configure that, you will see it's very simple. You just click on the role you have on this server, mailbox, CAS, hub. If you have a CAS, you just click on what kind of check you want. It's very simple. And then for all of these checks, you have the possibility to put a threshold. So this check, for example, on the OWA, we will really connect and we will really check all the Microsoft Exchange 2010 OWA service for all the mailboxes. And we will give you a threshold if it's not working. Sorry for that. So if you test the IMAP or the POP3 connectivity, it will be the same. It will make a real synchronization between a client, that will be GSX, and the CAS going to the mailbox. If you take the ActiveSync connectivity, for example, just clicking on the test and putting a threshold, so it's really one-click test, GSX will be considered as a mobile and will try to synchronize with the mailbox. So it will really do a synchronization. It will try to as well to make to have a direct push. So it will make a ping for the direct push, and it will synchronize IPM and so on, and it will give you the latency of all of that. So after that, if you take a CAS here, you will have as well an OWA average response time threshold that you can configure, and you will be alerted in case of any decrease of the performance of your environment for your user. Again, what matters is proactivity. and statistics of performance for you to be able to make capacity planning and things like that. And the last thing here on the CAS would be the Outlook Web Services alerts. So here, GSX will test the auto-discover to test that if any Outlook client is able to automatically configure with the Exchange server to communicate with them with the Exchange server through the different critical information that he needs, availability service, address book, RPC, auto-discover, and so on. If you take a mailbox role, it's really simple. You want to check the mapping connectivity, that is fundamental. So it's a big PowerShell test that will make synchronizations through MAPI. You just click one and that's all. It will be done. And GSX will collect the statistics doing that constantly. On the mailbox, we will give you some statistics in terms of white space, DB store size. Linked to the DB store size, you will have the same thing on the disk. So you will be able to be alerted when a DB store is exploding, when your disk space is decreasing, and you will get the statistic to constantly align the supply and the demand in terms of storage. And you will see it will be the same in terms of capacity of performance. So after that, here, for example, scanning is really basic scanning things. So scanning frequency, retry, etc. is very simple. The alert system to be alerted, of course, is really simple and powerful. If you want to add something to a profile, you just click here and you have your profile here. And you can put SNMP trap to your SCOM environment, for example, or to any other environment. You can put escalation profile and so on. And all of that really in seconds. Of course, we monitor automatically the Windows services. Then we monitor the number of undelivered mail and the number of mail in the queue, the disk space, and you can put maintenance and so on, but we will see that later. A thing that we are doing that is very fundamental as well for a private cloud environment is an end-to-end test of your global environment. So if we take, for example, that, what we do is that we really send mail. GSX is acting as a user, sending mail from one mailbox to another one, from one mailbox to internet, from one mailbox to BlackBerry, and retrieving the statistics, as you can see here, on average routing time, max routing time, minimum routing time, and so on. And again, you will have the possibility to trend that in a very, very easy way for you to see constantly how your environment is performing. Doing that for Exchange, we do kind of the same for SharePoint. If you take SharePoint scenario, we will here really act in the SharePoint environment. We will create a site, we will add a blog post, we will add new item. So it is really action that we do and that we erase just after. And we collect statistics on that. And of course, you can be alerted. And then you have a real view on what happened from a user perspective on your SharePoint or Exchange environment. Of course, we give you real-time statistics for that. So SharePoint statistics, for example, if we take SharePoint, so with other type of scenario that we are doing, I will show you that just after, web services, we collect statistics at the SQL level with the number of site collections, size of the site, number of documents, and so on. And for each content DB, you will have the statistics at the site collection level with the creation date, size, and so on and so on. So you will be able to graph very easily the growth of your infrastructure on SharePoint, for example. If we take SharePoint again, it's exactly the same. You edit server, you configure the SQL, scanning is the same thing, web services. Like for scenario, we will really use these web services. We will really try to make a copy. We will really try to use a form to display an image, to display a web part, and so on. And you will be able to put some threshold and get alerted if for your user the performance is going down. So it's very important. On SharePoint, you can as well scan the log, be alerted in kind of this space. You have indexer alert to be sure that your elements are able to be successfully crawled, and so on. So all the configuration, all of the tests that are very powerful behind this click, all of the configuration is very, very simple to do. If I finish on Exchange, for example, here I will see directly my DAG, for example, and I will see all the statistics of usage, of performance, of my DB store. So are they here, number of copy, where are the healthy copy, the size, the white space, the number of mailbox, the average size of mailbox, and so on. And these statistics are real time, but you will be able to see it as well in historical and forecast and to make forecasting. And that will give you a big advantage if you want to really follow the resource and the demand in order to constantly align that. So, of course, you have that for the DAG, but you will have as well for the CAS array, and you will have the CAS array load balancing instantly in front of your eyes. So here's another CAS array with the protocol availability across the CAS and so on, and with as well the network load balancer. We check everything. So going back to the main view, again, no code on server, multi-platform from a single workstation or single virtual machine. You can have your BlackBerry environment, Active, Exchange, Active Directory, Exchange, SharePoint, URLs, even Domino environment. And we collect stats for all of that. And all the stats are going to Analyzer. That will be your reporting tool. You have a dashboard here that shows you all your different bricks in your environment and showing you the last statistics, showing you the performance compare, the last availability, the last alert, and so on. So what we have seen that is really important if you manage a private cloud environment is, of course, the statistics, the reports, and the forecast. So if we take, for example, the pure statistics, for each role of Exchange, for example, CAS, Hub, Mailbox, and so on, you will have special statistics for that, so the usage, number of connections, so this is for CAS, and so on. And you have the performance indicator from a user perspective. How long is it to synchronize a mobile phone with your server? How long it is to access to the CAS and the Mailbox through OWA, through IMAP4, POP3, and all of this stuff. And you will get the statistics here. After that, when you have the statistics, what you want is to be able to easily report, to easily make trends on that. So here is the trend part of GSX Analyzer. So here you can play with trends very, very easily. So you want to see, for example, that in column, you click, drag and drop, and you have that in column. You can see two different types of color. Here it is the historical part, and here it is the forecasting part. So if I want to make a new chart on a trend that you have made, hop, we can do that, and you have a new chart. So it's the same here. If I take column, it would be column. It's really easy to manipulate. So maybe you wonder how to make this kind of report. And this is something that is very different from any other tool because it is very easy to use. So I click here, I select the setting. I want a daily or weekly or monthly report. I want, I don't know, how many day, week, or months do I want in my report? Do I want to change the title or things like that? Then, do I want to send the report in PDF? Let's say that. To send a mail or to go on FTP server or local folder, no problem. Just click and it's done. And then the PDF customization, maybe you want your logo on the report, maybe you want, I don't know, a first text page, a last text page. Everything can be customized very easily from here. So then you want to make forecasts. Very simple. Just one click, and then you just select how many days, how many weeks, how many months you want on forecasting. And then you have just to select the statistics you want. So here you have Exchange CAS activity. So here you will have all your user, protocol availability. So this is for at the CAS at the server level, but you will have that at the cluster level as well, in order to really check the service you provide to your user. Then of course you have the DSpace, you have the server load, you have, so this is system statistics and so on. And then you have the mailbox with all the stats as well in terms of SMTP and so on, and the MS Exchange user and the stat of availability of the server. And if you go on the cluster, you will have the DEG usage, so number of mailbox, average mailbox, all of the statistics you need to really focus on the service delivery and to focus on the usage in order to, again, constantly align the supply and the demand. So you have, just to finish, you have the Exchange database with the usage of that, with the availability of the database, and of course the mail routing, as I show you. So all the scenario that really use your your environment as a user in order to give you really a performance point of view. So you have this kind of reports. You have seen how it is easy to configure them. This would be the kind of automatic report that you will receive every day, every month, every week, as you want, with the statistics you want, with everything you want in it. And the last point, and then the demo of is really finished, is the environment health report. So here you will be able to, so this is for SharePoint, for example, you will be able to compare your different server across different statistics you want. It can be performance statistics, SLA, it can be usage statistics, in order for you to really see how the service is spread between your different servers and to identify quickly bottleneck and issues to see, okay, oh, this SharePoint server is constantly crashing. Okay, I have to check that. This mailbox server has always problem. From a service perspective, okay, it's always working, but you need to know and you need to identify bottleneck, identify issue, even if the service is provided, in order to be sure that it will be constantly provided. So this is exactly what the environment health report does, and again, it is done in really in one click. For example, I have another one here on BlackBerry, but it will work as well on Exchange. So it will draw all your BlackBerry with, for example, the average server, and then you have your contract value, and you have different statistics, and it is very, very easy to use. So I think that we have made a very quick demo of the product, but again, the purpose of the demo was really to show you, okay, that behind all of the things GSX Monitor and Analyzer is doing, all the use of the product and the philosophy of the product without any code and server and so on is really simple. The purpose is really to be simple to use. So if we come back on that, so now we have kind of finished. So wrap up. What to remember about the demo, about everything. The aim of GSX Monitor is really to anticipate the need and the performance problem of your user, to fit end user demand and reduce cost of the infrastructure. Secondly, it is really to standardize all the tests you can make and the reporting you can produce to have a sustainable way to supervise your service and reduce the administration costs. GSX really focus on high availability and performance. The purpose is for you to work on problems before they impact your user, and hence to provide a constant high availability of your internal software as a service or of your private cloud environment. And finally, it is to provide you one single tool, completely agentless, out of the box, to monitor and report at the same time on Exchange, SharePoint, BlackBerry, Active Directory, URLs, and even Lotus services. So I have finished. So maybe now it's time for you to ask if you have some questions. Juliette, do you have some questions maybe?
Yes, I do. Some question where in the chat, I got a question. How does your alerting system plug in with SCOM? Okay, so maybe I will come back to the demo. It's a very, very good question because most of our customers are using SCOM as well. They are using SCOM because they use SCOM, for example, for all the system monitoring, system management, OS, virtual machine, and so on. And then they use GSX Monitor in order to really have a view on the application, and without 1,000, for example, 1,000 alerts that come every minute. Because GSX really focus on services and performance. It's only focus on that. GSX will not give you 1,000 alerts per minute. It will just give you alerts when you will have a problem, when you will have an impact of user. So how does it work? With SCOM, it's very simple. You just go to SCOM, and you install the management pack for GSX Monitor that will allow GSX to send and to display all the alerts he has into the SCOM management console. So it's a very, very light management pack. Then you just get your GSX like that. You do not install anything on your server, nothing. And GSX will just send the alerts by SNMP trap to the SCOM management console that will display them in different tabs, alerts, warning, etc., etc.
So it is really easy to use. You have just a small thing to install on the SCOM platform in order to allow the trap to come on, and then GSX send the trap, and you can do that directly if you have a problem, or you can do that with an escalation profile if you want, for example, the system or the SCOM engineer to be alerted after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that.
Thank you, Jeff. Next question is about SharePoint scenarios. What exactly do you do in the scenarios?
Okay. So just to be clear on the scenario, we are not just invoking a service. We are not just checking if a web service is up or down. We are not doing status on this scenario. What we do is that we use the scenario. We really use SharePoint. We go through the web services to use the application services that are behind. For example, if we test the Excel, or if we test the user profile, or if we test the search services, for example. So we call the application server through the web services in order to use it and to really take an action on it that we will erase just after. So in the SharePoint scenario, it's really not a light monitoring on this kind of stuff. It's not a status. It is really a use, and it's not only okay, it's work or it's not working. It is how long does it take for your user to perform this kind of action, and this is what we do, and this is what we report on.
Thank you, Jean-François. Next question is requirement for the monitor station, hardware and OS.
Okay, so we support, in terms of hardware, the fingerprint on the different, the fingerprint of GSX Monitor is very low because it's really working with a standard virtual machine. There's no really specific requirement. With 2 GB of RAM, it will be large enough, depending, of course, of how many servers you have to monitor. If you have more than 400 or to 1,000 servers, then it will be better to have a bit more than 2 GB of RAM. So it really depends on the environment. But for a standard environment, let's say for 200 servers or 250 servers, then a normal and standard virtual machine with between 2 or 4 GB of RAM with 10 GB of disk will be largely enough. In terms of operating system, GSX can work on Windows XP, Windows 7, and of course we test it as well on Windows 8, and it's works perfectly.
Thank you. I have a question about the licensing model, how the GSX Monitor and the GSX Analyzer licensed.
Okay, so now you want to talk about price, I can understand. So GSX Monitor and GSX Analyzer are sold together. You can buy Monitor without Analyzer, but then you won't have any reporting capabilities. So it's a bit sad in a private cloud environment. So it is licensed per number of server and number of users. If you have, I will give a standard price. If you have, for example, only one server with kind of 200 users on it, okay, it's really a basic ratio. Then it will cost you about 1,300 euro for a perpetual license with 1 year of maintenance. Of course, if you have a lot of servers, then you will have some discount. But then it's not my task. It is more a sales task.
Thank you. I have
so don't hesitate to call us. Yeah.
Last question on the chat is about GSX solution are out of the box. Therefore, which traffic network is needed and what is the impact on the database to collect data?
So we made some tests. So of course it depends on how many servers you have. We made tests with 80 servers. It was last year. And we've seen that we never were, in terms of network and the CPU on the different server, it was less than 1% of the CPU of the different server we monitor. Depending on the scenario you are doing, sometimes on SharePoint it's a bit more. But in terms of bandwidth, I don't have exactly the figures in my head, but I can really check that and send an email back to the people who want. But of course, I know that it's very low because it's just you add one user to your environment. Of course, it's an active user because he performs scenario, he will send mail, he will try to connect to or synchronize or things like that. But it is only one user. So no problem for me to send you the information. I just have to check in my internal documentation.